The observation deck of the warship Covenant of Steel hummed with quiet energy as Marcus stared out at the stars. 3 months ago, he was just a regular engineer on Earth. Now he stood aboard an alien vessel, surrounded by warriors who could crush him with one hand. Human Marcus Chen. The deep voice behind him made his spine straighten instantly. He turned and faced Commander Zareth. She stood 7 feet tall, covered head to toe in dark ceremonial armor that gleamed under the ship's lights. Her helmet had sharp angles that made her look like a walking weapon. Every Kael'thari warrior wore armor like this. They never took it off, not in battle, not in rest, never. "Commander," Marcus said, nodding respectfully. "Walk with me," she commanded. It was not a request. They moved through the ship's corridors in silence. Other Kael'thari warriors stepped aside as they passed. Marcus noticed how they looked at their commander with fear and respect. She was a legend among her people, undefeated in combat, strategic genius, cold as the void of space. They reached the war room, empty. Zareth pressed a button, and the doors sealed behind them. "We successfully defended the mining colony," she began. "Your engineering skills repaired our weapons systems in time. Without you, we would have lost the battle." Marcus shrugged. "Just doing my job, Commander. Among my people, such service deserves reward." She turned to face him fully. Behind her helmet's visor, he could see her eyes. They were surprisingly gentle for such a fearsome warrior. "What do you desire, human? Speak freely. I will grant what I can." Marcus was exhausted. The battle had lasted 18 hours. He had barely slept in days. His brain was foggy from fatigue. He should have asked for credits, or maybe better quarters, or a transport home to Earth. Instead, his tired mind produced something else entirely. "Honestly," he laughed weakly, a break from all these protocols would be nice. Just normal conversation, no ranks, no formalities." He rubbed his eyes. "Sorry, I'm just tired. Forget I said that." Silence fell like a heavy blanket. When Marcus looked up, he froze. Zareth stood perfectly still. Her hands had moved to her helmet. "Commander?" His voice cracked slightly. "You have claimed me," she said quietly. "I accept your claim." "What? No, I was just—" The helmet came off with a hiss of releasing pressure seals. Marcus's words died in his throat. Beneath the armor was a face he had never expected to see. Zareth's skin was pale blue, marked with silver scars that ran like rivers across her cheeks. Her hair, dark as midnight, fell past her shoulders in thick waves. She was beautiful, and she was looking at him with an intensity that made his heart hammer. "Commander, I think there's been a misunderstanding. You said you wanted me." Her voice was softer now without the helmet's filters, almost vulnerable. "Among Kael'thari, this is the highest claim one can make. You asked for me, not my service, not my protection, me." She began removing her shoulder guards. Each piece of armor fell away with ceremonial slowness. "Wait, I didn't mean it like that. It was a joke. I'm tired and I wasn't thinking straight." Jokes are deception. Warriors do not deceive about such matters. Another piece of armor fell to the floor with a heavy clang. When a Kael'thari warrior removes armor before another, it is the ultimate sign of trust, of acceptance. Panic rose in Marcus's chest. Through the war room's windows, he could see other Kael'thari warriors gathering outside. They pressed against the glass, staring with wide eyes. Some looked shocked, others seemed horrified. "Why are they looking at us like that?" Marcus whispered. "Because," Zareth said, removing her chest plate to reveal a simple black bodysuit underneath. "This has not happened in 3 generations, a warrior choosing a mate publicly. Especially," she paused, "especially with an alien, a human." "Mate?" Marcus's voice jumped an octave. We can't. Commander, please, put your armor back on. It is too late. The last major piece fell away. She stood before him now, just a woman in simple clothing, suddenly looking less like a war machine and more like someone real, someone vulnerable. You claimed me. I accept it. To reject me now would dishonor not just me, but my entire lineage. It would be an insult to my species. But I didn't know. Nobody told me how your culture works. Ignorance does not erase action, Marcus Chen. She stepped closer. You spoke what was in your tired heart. Sometimes truth slips out when we lower our guards. Marcus opened his mouth to protest again when alarms suddenly blared through the ship. Enemy vessels detected, multiple contacts, attack formation. Zareth's eyes widened. No, not now. What's wrong? Marcus asked. Kael'thari warriors must wear full armor in battle. It is our way, our strength. She looked at the pile of armor at her feet, then at Marcus. But I have just removed mine in acceptance of a mate. To put it back on before the bonding ceremony completes, she shook her head. It would be seen as weakness, dishonor. So you're saying you have to fight without armor because of my stupid joke? Yes. She turned toward the door, her jaw set. And among my people, warriors who fight emotionally compromised die. The doors opened. Her second-in-command stood there, horror written across his face. Commander, the enemy fleet is massive. We need you at full strength. Zareth walked past him without her armor, head held high. Marcus stood alone in the war room, staring at the pile of discarded armor, realization crashing over him like a cold wave. His joke might have just killed them both.
Marcus ran after Zareth, his boots pounding against the metal floor. She moved through the corridors like a ghost, her body still graceful despite having no armor. Every warrior they passed stopped and stared. Some touched their chests in what looked like a salute. Others turned away as if they couldn't bear to watch. "Commander, wait!" Marcus caught up to her outside the bridge. "You can't go into battle like this!" She stopped, but didn't turn around. "I have no choice, human. My warriors need their commander." "They need you alive!" He grabbed her arm, then immediately regretted it when she spun to face him. Her eyes burned with something between anger and pain. "Do not touch me unless you intend to honor your claim," she said quietly. "Every touch now carries meaning." Marcus released her. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for all of this." "Sorry does not stop enemy ships." She turned toward the bridge doors, then paused. "But I accept your apology. You did not know our ways. The fault is partly mine. I should have explained before accepting." The doors opened. The bridge fell silent as Zareth entered without her armor. Marcus followed behind her, feeling every eye on them both. The second-in-command, a scarred warrior named Drax, approached carefully. "Commander, the enemy fleet, it's the Vrax Dominion, 15 warships. They're hailing us." "On screen," Zareth commanded, taking her position in the center of the bridge. The screen flickered to life. A reptilian face appeared, cruel and mocking. The Vrax commander had green scales and yellow eyes that gleamed with malice. "Well, well," the Vrax hissed. "The great Zareth. I heard an interesting rumor. They said you removed your armor for a human pet. I didn't believe it until now." His laugh was like rocks grinding together. "How the mighty have fallen." Zareth's expression didn't change. "State your business, Vrax. We have nothing you want." "Oh, but we do." The alien leaned forward. "We want to watch you die. You see, someone very close to you sent us a message. They told us about your situation. They told us that now would be the perfect time to attack, while you're weak, while you're dishonored." Marcus's blood ran cold. "Someone on this ship betrayed you?" Drax's hand moved to his weapon. Impossible! Every warrior here would die for the commander. Not all, it seems, the Vrax said with pleasure. Your people are so predictable, Kalthari, so bound by tradition, so disgusted when someone breaks your precious rules. He paused. We'll give you 1 hour to surrender. If you don't, we'll destroy your ship and everyone on it, especially the human who dishonored a great warrior. The screen went black. Silence gripped the bridge like a physical force. Then whispers started. Marcus couldn't understand the Kalthari language, but he heard his name repeated. He heard anger in those voices, blame. Silence! Zareth's voice cracked like thunder. The bridge went quiet instantly. We have an hour. Drax, battle stations, all crews to their positions. Commander, an older warrior stepped forward, his armor covered in ancient battle marks. You cannot lead us like this. Without armor, you violate every code we have. Let another take command until... Until what, Kalvar? Zareth turned on him. Until I put my armor back on and prove I was too weak to honor a mate claim? Until I show the entire fleet that a human's words made me crawl back into my shell like a coward? It's not about cowardice, Kalvar said carefully. It's about tradition, about what makes us Kalthari. Then perhaps, Zareth said slowly, dangerously, our traditions need to see a different kind of strength. Marcus felt his chest tighten. She was defending him, defending the choice she thought he made, and it was going to get her killed. This is my fault, he said loudly. Everyone turned to look at him. I made a mistake, a cultural mistake. Let me fix it. Let me... No, Zareth's word was final. What's done is done, Marcus Chen. Among my people, we do not undo choices because they become difficult. We face the consequences with honor. Drax approached, his voice low but urgent. Commander, I've analyzed the enemy fleet. They have superior numbers, superior firepower. With all respect, even with your armor, this would be a difficult battle. Without it, he didn't finish the sentence. I know the odds, Zareth said. There's something else, Drax glanced at Marcus. The Vrax specifically mentioned killing the human. This isn't just about defeating us. Someone wants to ensure your mate claim cannot be completed. Someone wants you to die dishonored. The pieces clicked together in Marcus's mind. The traitor, they're not just helping the Vrax, they're trying to destroy you specifically. Indeed, Zareth walked to the window, staring at the enemy fleet in the distance. Someone on this ship cannot accept what I have done. They see my choice as such a disgrace that they would rather see me dead. Marcus moved beside her. Tell me what to do. Tell me how to fix this. She looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time she saw fear in her eyes. Not fear of death, fear of something else. There is only one way, human. Complete the mate claim, truly, not as a joke. The ceremony requires 3 things: the removal of armor, which I have done, the acceptance of the claim in front of witnesses, which you must do, and, she paused, the binding of honor. What does that mean? It means you stand with me in battle. You fight by my side. If I die, you die. If you die, I die. We become one warrior in the eyes of my people. Her hand reached out, hesitated, then touched his face gently. It means your joke becomes reality. You would be mine. I would be yours, forever. Marcus's heart hammered. An hour ago, he was just a tired engineer. Now, he was being asked to bind his life to an alien warrior's fate. And if I refuse, he whispered, then I fight alone, dishonored, and likely die. The Vrax will destroy this ship, and whoever betrayed me will have won. Alarms blared again. Commander, a warrior shouted from the weapons station. The Vrax are moving into attack formation. They're not waiting the full hour. The Vrax commander's voice boomed through the speakers.
We lied about the hour, Calthari. Surrender now, or watch your ship burn, starting with the section where your human pet is standing. Explosions rocked the ship. Marcus grabbed a railing to steady himself. Through the window, he saw enemy ships firing, their weapons tearing through the void towards them. Zareth turned to Marcus, her eyes fierce and desperate. Choose now, human. Joke or truth. Stand with me or step away. There is no more time. Marcus looked at her, at this warrior who had accepted his careless words with such seriousness, at this woman who was willing to die rather than dishonor a choice she made, at the crew who watched them both with judgment and fear. He thought about his boring life on Earth, his safe job, his predictable future. Then he thought about what she asked: stand with her, fight with her, maybe die with her. The ship shook again. Sparks flew from a console. Someone screamed. Marcus grabbed a railing to steady himself. Through the window, he saw enemy ships firing, their weapons tearing through the void towards them. Zareth turned to Marcus, her eyes fierce and desperate. Choose now, human. Joke or truth. Stand with me or step away. There is no more time. Marcus looked at her, at this warrior who had accepted his careless words with such seriousness, at this woman who was willing to die rather than dishonor a choice she made, at the crew who watched them both with judgment and fear. He thought about his boring life on Earth, his safe job, his predictable future. Then he thought about what she asked: stand with her, fight with her, maybe die with her. The ship shook again. Sparks flew from a console. Someone screamed. Marcus grabbed a railing to steady himself. Through the window, he saw enemy ships firing, their weapons tearing through the void towards them. Zareth turned to Marcus, her eyes fierce and desperate. Choose now, human. Joke or truth. Stand with me or step away. There is no more time. Marcus looked at her, at this warrior who had accepted his careless words with such seriousness, at this woman who was willing to die rather than dishonor a choice she made, at the crew who watched them both with judgment and fear. He thought about his boring life on Earth, his safe job, his predictable future. Then he thought about what she asked: stand with her, fight with her, maybe die with her. The ship shook again. Sparks flew from a console. Someone screamed. Marcus grabbed a railing to steady himself. Through the window, he saw enemy ships firing, their weapons tearing through the void towards them. Zareth turned to Marcus, her eyes fierce and desperate. Choose now, human. Joke or truth.
The Covenant of Steel shuddered violently as another plasma blast struck its shields. Marcus gripped the console in front of him, his knuckles white. Around him, Calthari warriors moved with practiced efficiency, but he could feel their doubt. Their commander stood beside a human, armorless, leading them into a battle they couldn't win. "Shields at 60%, Drax called out. "Hull breach on deck 7, sealing emergency bulkheads now." Zareth stood at the center of the bridge, her posture straight despite lacking her protective armor. Marcus noticed how exposed she looked compared to every other warrior. Their armor made them seem invincible. She seemed fragile, human. But her voice carried absolute authority. "Evasive pattern Delta. Return fire on the lead Vrax ship." The ship banked hard. Marcus's stomach lurched. Through the viewport, he watched their weapons fire streaking toward the enemy fleet. The blasts hit, but barely made a dent in the Vrax shields. "Their shields are too strong," the weapons officer reported. "Our standard attacks aren't penetrating." "Again," Zareth commanded. Another volley, another failure. The Vrax commander's mocking voice filled the bridge. "Is this the great Calthari strategy? Throw yourselves against superior force and hope? Perhaps your human pet can tell you jokes while you die." Marcus watched the tactical display. 15 enemy ships surrounded them in a loose formation. The Covenant of Steel was powerful, but not powerful enough to fight those odds. Standard military tactics wouldn't work here. Standard military tactics. An idea sparked in Marcus's mind, something crazy, something no Kael'thari warrior would ever consider. "Zareth," he said quietly, touching her arm. She turned to him, and he saw the weight of command in her eyes. "I have an idea, but you're not going to like it. Speak. What if we don't fight them?" The bridge went silent. Every warrior turned to stare at him. "Explain," Zareth said carefully. Marcus pointed to the tactical display. "Look at their formation. They're surrounding us because they expect us to fight. They expect honor. They expect you to stand and battle like a Kael'thari warrior should." He looked at her. "But I'm human. We don't fight fair when we're outnumbered." Drax stepped forward, his hand on his weapon. "You suggest we flee? Run like cowards?" "No," Marcus said. "I suggest we make them think we're fleeing. We make them chase us. Then we turn their own trap against them." "Impossible," Kelvar, the older warrior, said. "They have us surrounded. They'll destroy our engines before we can escape." "What if we don't use our engines?" Marcus pulled up a star chart on the console. His hands moved quickly, plotting a course. "There, that asteroid field. It's dense, dangerous. No sane pilot would fly through it." Zareth studied the map. "You want us to hide in the asteroids? That's not a human strategy. That's suicide." "No," Marcus smiled grimly. "I want us to lead them into the asteroids. Then we use what humans do best." "Which is?" "We cheat." Another explosion rocked the ship. The lights flickered. Someone shouted that shields were down to 40%. Zareth looked at Marcus for a long moment. He could see her calculating, measuring, deciding whether to trust this human who had accidentally claimed her. Finally, she nodded. "Set course for the asteroid field. Maximum speed." "Commander!" Multiple warriors protested at once. "You heard me!" Zareth's voice cut through the noise. "The human has bonded his honor to mine. I will trust his judgment. If we die together. If we survive, we prove that new ways can work." The ship turned sharply, accelerating toward the massive asteroid field visible in the distance. Behind them, the Vrax fleet gave chase, their weapons firing continuously. "They're following," Drax reported. "All 15 ships." "Good," Marcus said. "Now comes the hard part." The asteroid field loomed ahead, a deadly maze of spinning rocks, some as small as cars, others as large as moons. The Covenant of Steel plunged into it without hesitation. Immediately, chaos erupted. Asteroids rushed past the viewport, some missing the ship by mere meters. The artificial gravity fluctuated as the ship twisted and turned, avoiding collisions. "This is madness!" Kelvar shouted, gripping his station. "This is human thinking," Zareth replied, her eyes locked on Marcus. Marcus worked at the console, his engineer's mind calculating trajectories and possibilities. "Drax, I need you to target specific asteroids, not the enemy ships, the asteroids. You want us to shoot rocks? Trust me, target the ones I'm marking." Marcus's fingers flew across the screen, highlighting certain asteroids in the Vrax fleet's path. The Vrax ships followed them into the field, confident in their superior numbers. Marcus watched their formation on the tactical display. They were bunching together, trying to maintain their attack pattern even in the chaos of the asteroids. "Now!" Marcus shouted. "Fire!" The Covenant of Steel's weapons blazed, but instead of targeting the enemy ships, the blasts struck the asteroids Marcus had marked. The massive rocks exploded, sending fragments flying in all directions. The debris cloud expanded rapidly, right into the path of the pursuing Vrax fleet. "What?" Drax started, then his eyes widened in understanding. The Vrax ships, moving at high speed, couldn't avoid the sudden wall of debris. 2 ships collided with large fragments and exploded. 3 others had their shields overwhelmed by the barrage of smaller rocks. Their hulls tore open, venting atmosphere into space. 5 ships down, the tactical officer reported, shock clear in his voice. The Vrax commander's voice screamed through the comm. Cowardly tactics, dishonorable. Effective, Zareth said simply, cutting the comm. She looked at Marcus with something like wonder. You used their aggression against them. Humans learned a long time ago, Marcus said, already marking more asteroids. In a fair fight, the stronger opponent wins, so we make sure the fight is never fair. The remaining Vrax ships spread out, more cautious now, but they were angry. Marcus could see it in their erratic movements, their aggressive positioning. They wanted revenge. They're regrouping, Drax warned, preparing for another attack run. Let them come, Marcus said. Zareth, can this ship's tractor beam grab asteroids? Yes, but then grab the biggest one you can find and hold it in front of us. Use it as a shield. It was such a simple idea, so obvious, yet no Kael'thari warrior would have thought of it, because it wasn't honorable combat. It was practical. It was survival. The tractor beam engaged, pulling a massive asteroid into position in front of the ship. When the Vrax fired their next volley, the asteroid absorbed the blasts. Return fire through the gaps, Marcus directed. Use the asteroid as cover, but keep moving. Make them chase us deeper into the field. The battle transformed into something the Vrax hadn't expected. The Covenant of Steel used the environment, used debris, used every trick Marcus could think of. They hid behind asteroids, created debris clouds, even used the gravitational pull of larger rocks to slingshot around corners. 8 ships remaining, Drax reported, his voice carrying new respect. Commander, the humans' tactics, they're working. But Marcus's attention was drawn to something else. A maintenance alert on his console. Someone had accessed the ship's power systems from an internal terminal. Someone was trying to shut down our shields from inside. Zareth, he said urgently, we have a problem. The traitor, they're sabotaging us right now. Her expression hardened. Location? Marcus traced the signal. Engineering deck, Section 12. Drax, you have command. Keep using the humans' tactics. Zareth started toward the exit. Marcus, with me. We end this betrayal now. They ran through the corridors, the ship shaking around them as the battle continued. Other crew members rushed past, focused on damage control and repairs. No one noticed the commander and her human mate moving through the chaos. They reached Engineering Deck 12. The section was darker than it should be, several lights damaged from the battle. Steam hissed from a ruptured pipe. In the distance, Marcus could hear someone working at a console. Zareth moved silently, despite her size. Marcus tried to follow her example, but his boots seemed impossibly loud. They rounded a corner and saw a figure hunched over a console, their armored back to them. Step away from the console, traitor, Zareth commanded. The figure froze, then slowly turned around. Marcus's breath caught. It was Kelvar, the old warrior, the one who had spoken against Zareth on the bridge. Commander, Kelvar said, his voice sad rather than defiant, I knew you would come. Why? Zareth's voice shook with rage and pain. You have served with me for 20 years. Why betray me now? Kelvar removed his helmet. His old face was scarred from countless battles. Tears ran down his cheeks. Because I could not watch you destroy yourself. Because I loved you too much to see you dishonored by an alien's careless word.
Marcus's ears rang with a high-pitched whine. His vision swam with spots of light. He tried to move, but his body felt like lead. Slowly, sensation returned. Pain, heat, the acrid smell of burning electronics. He was alive. Zareth! He croaked, his throat raw from smoke inhalation. Zareth! A groan answered him from somewhere close. Marcus forced his eyes to focus. The engineering deck was destroyed. Exposed wiring sparked from torn walls. A massive support beam had collapsed across the corridor. Emergency lights flickered weakly, casting everything in blood-red shadows. And there, pinned beneath a fallen panel, was Zareth. "No!" Marcus crawled toward her, ignoring the pain shooting through his ribs. His hands found the panel, and he pulled with all his strength. It barely moved. "Come on!" "Marcus," her voice was strained. "Stop! You will hurt yourself." "I don't care." He pulled harder, his muscles screaming in protest. The panel shifted slightly. "I'm not leaving you." "The attack," Zareth managed. "Why are we alive?" As if in answer, Drax's voice crackled through the damaged comm system. "Commander, if you can hear me, respond." Marcus slapped the wall panel. "Drax, we're here. Engineering Deck 12. The commander is trapped." "Sending rescue teams now." Relief flooded Drax's voice. "Commander, you need to know what happened. The humans' tactics. We used them. When the Vrax fired, we used the tractor beam to pull a massive asteroid between us and their weapons at the last second. The blast hit the asteroid instead of directly hitting us, but the explosion still caused massive damage to your section." Marcus looked at Zareth. "You saved us. Your crew learned." "No," she said, her eyes meeting his. "You saved us. You taught them a new way to think." Footsteps echoed in the corridor. 4 Kaleothari warriors appeared, led by a younger soldier Marcus recognized from the bridge. They stopped short when they saw their commander trapped beneath debris, her human mate kneeling beside her. "Help her!" Marcus shouted. "Don't just stand there." The warriors moved forward, but Marcus could see hesitation in their movements. They looked at Zareth without her armor, vulnerable and injured, and he saw doubt in their eyes. "You question your commander?" Marcus's voice carried an edge he didn't know he possessed. "She led you into battle. She trusted you with her life. Now she needs you. Move!" Something in his words, or perhaps the fierce protectiveness in his tone, made them act. Together, with Marcus, they lifted the panel. Zareth pulled herself free, wincing as she stood. Her left arm hung at an odd angle, broken. "I can walk," she said, before anyone could offer her to carry her. "Take me to the bridge." "Commander, you need medical attention," one of the warriors protested. "The battle is not finished. Medical attention can wait." She started walking, each step controlled despite her obvious pain. Marcus moved beside her, ready to catch her if she fell. They made their way through the damaged ship. Everywhere Marcus looked, he saw destruction. Sections sealed off by emergency bulkheads, injured crew members being tended by medics, fires being extinguished. The Vrax attack had come terrifyingly close to ending them. When they reached the bridge, the entire command crew turned. Marcus saw something shift in their expressions. Their commander, injured and armorless, had walked through the ship rather than be carried. She had put her duty before her pain. Kelvar stood near the back of the bridge, his hands bound. 2 guards flanked him. When he saw Zareth, tears streamed down his old face. "I am sorry," he whispered. "I am so sorry." Zareth limped past him without acknowledgement. She took her position at the center of the bridge, her injured arm cradled against her body. "Status report." Drax stepped forward. 5 Vrax ships remain. They have pulled back to regroup. Our shields are at 30%. We have hull breaches on 7 decks. Weapon systems are at 60% capacity. He paused. "Commander, we cannot win a prolonged battle in our current state." "Then we do not fight a prolonged battle." Zareth looked at Marcus. "What would a human do now?" Every eye turned to Marcus. He felt the weight of their stares, their judgment, their desperate hope. He was just an engineer, just a man who made a stupid joke. Now these alien warriors were looking to him for answers. He moved to the tactical display, studying the positioning of the Vrax ships. They were hovering at the edge of the asteroid field, clearly wary of entering again. Smart. They had learned from their losses.
They are afraid of the asteroids now, Marcus said slowly. They know we can use the environment against them, so they're waiting for us to come to them. They want to fight in open space where they have the advantage. We cannot stay here forever, Drax said. Our supplies are limited. Time favors them. Marcus's mind raced. What would turn this situation around? What did they have that the Vrax didn't expect? Then it hit him, the thing that had started this entire mess. They think we're weak, Marcus said. They think Zareth is compromised because she removed her armor. They think I'm just a helpless human who got lucky with some tricks. He turned to face the crew. What if we use that against them? Explain, Zareth commanded. We send a message. We tell them we want to negotiate. We say that the commander is injured and wants to discuss terms of surrender. He pointed to the Vrax fleet on the display. They won't be able to resist. They'll want to witness Zareth's humiliation personally. They'll send a delegation or ask us to come to them. You want us to pretend to surrender? A warrior said, disgust in his voice. No, I want them to think we're surrendering. Then, when they're close, when they're confident, we hit them with everything we have. A trap, Zareth said softly. You want to bait them with my dishonor. I want to bait them with their assumption of my dishonor. There's a difference. Silence fell over the bridge. Marcus could feel the tension. This plan violated every warrior code the Keleothari held dear. Deception, false surrender, using perceived weakness as a weapon. But they were dying. The ship was damaged. Time was running out. Kelvar's voice broke the silence. It is a coward's plan. Marcus spun to face him. No, it's a survivor's plan. It's what you do when honorable tactics will get everyone killed. You think I don't understand honor? I do, but I also understand that dead heroes don't protect anyone. Zareth needs to survive. Her crew needs to survive. Sometimes honor means doing whatever it takes to bring your people home alive. The human speaks truth, Drax said quietly. Harsh truth, but truth nonetheless. Zareth looked at her crew, reading their faces. Marcus could see the conflict there. Tradition versus survival, honor versus necessity. If we do this, she said slowly, we cross a line. We become something our people have never been, tacticians who use deception. Or, Marcus said gently, you become people who adapt, who evolve, who learn that there are many kinds of strength. He stepped closer to her, mindful of every watching eye. You removed your armor from me. That took more courage than any battle. Now I'm asking you to remove something else, your rigid adherence to tactics that will get you killed. She held his gaze for a long moment. Then, decision made, she turned to Drax. Open a channel to the Vrax fleet. The bridge erupted in protests. Warriors shouted objections. Even Drax looked uncertain. Silence! Zareth's voice cut through the chaos. I am still your commander. We will try the humans' plan. If it fails, we die no faster than we would have fighting honorably. If it succeeds, we live to fight again. She looked around at her crew, reading their faces. Marcus could see the conflict there. Tradition versus survival, honor versus necessity. If we do this, she said slowly, we cross a line. We become something our people have never been, tacticians who use deception. Or, Marcus said gently, you become people who adapt, who evolve, who learn that there are many kinds of strength. He stepped closer to her, mindful of every watching eye. You removed your armor from me. That took more courage than any battle. Now I'm asking you to remove something else, your rigid adherence to tactics that will get you killed. She held his gaze for a long moment. Then, decision made, she turned to Drax. Open a channel to the Vrax fleet. The bridge erupted in protests. Warriors shouted objections. Even Drax looked uncertain. Silence! Zareth's voice cut through the chaos. I am still your commander. We will try the humans' plan. If it fails, we die no faster than we would have fighting honorably. If it succeeds, we live to fight again.
She looked around at her crew, reading their faces. Marcus could see the conflict there. Tradition versus survival. Honor versus necessity. "If we do this," she said slowly, "we cross a line. We become something our people have never been, tacticians who use deception. Or," Marcus said gently, "you become people who adapt, who evolve, who learn that there are many kinds of strength." He stepped closer to her, mindful of every watching eye. "You removed your armor for me. That took more